The United States has fallen into darkness. Conservative extremists have hijacked the courts, dismantled civil liberties, and militarized the police. Corporate interests dictate policy while environmental protections crumble. Free speech exists only for those who toe the party line. The media parrots government propaganda and dissenting voices face persecution. The wealth gap has become a chasm. The working class struggle to survive while the elite hoard resources. No. I'm not reading from today's headlines. I'm, of course, just describing the completely fictional setting of a liberal crime squad, a satirical, open-source, text-based political RPG where you lead a radical left-wing insurgent group to reshape an ultra-conservative America. And to be completely clear, I am absolutely not suggesting anyone should start a revolutionary cell in real life. That would be bad. This is a purely fictional entertainment where we'll engage in activism, subversion, and morally questionable acts that would be totally inappropriate in reality. Now, this game was actually made by Tarn Adams, who would later go and make a little something called Dwarf Fortress. This game was released as freeware around between 2002 2004, and then when it was made open source, where it was picked up by the community and continued over the years. One of those early contributors, Jonathan S. Fox, has recently returned to LCS and has developed Liberal Crime Squad New Age. It's a complete web-based remake that modernizes the politics, improves accessibility, adds a bunch of quality of life features, and generally has made the game a lot more interesting to me. I've dabbled with LCS several times in the past, but was never able to kind of fully wrap my head around it until now. So I think I'm finally ready to try a Let's Play. So join me as we save America from itself. All right, let's go. We're going to keep all the settings default, although I am tempted to go into classic mode, but no, we'll leave everything default. So the conservative crime squad is something we might have to deal with a little bit later on. And who are we going to start with? I was trying to decide whether I should play as Quill or if I should play as Petra. Right? These are my sort of two go-tos. I tend to play as characters in games named Quill. If I want to play kind of a little bit more like myself, I think for this, it'll be better to have a little bit of distance. So I think we're going to be playing as Petra. Now, the names here are just randomly generated. We don't type them in over here, but we will be able to go and enter in our code name, the name we choose to go by, at which point we will name ourselves Petra. We will be the rock upon which the revolution is built. There are a few different locations starting: New York, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C. Well, we'll go with Seattle, which is the default in here, and I think is a good kind of vibe. So we'll go with this. And then we have to go through and invent our backstory. In the moments after I was born in 2004, ... American torture of prisoners in Iraq was revealed on national television. Ronald Reagan died. Firefox was released, challenging Microsoft dominance over web browsers. Kenyan democracy activist Wangari Maathai received the Nobel Peace Prize. Or Massachusetts became the first state to legalize same-sex marriage. So we're kind of choosing our birthday, but also we're starting to build up some stats immediately. We can see our attributes over here. We got strength, agility, heart, intelligence, charisma, and wisdom. Previously, health was a separate stat, but in New Age, it has mostly been rolled into heart. The one stat I think I'm less interested in, well, certainly wisdom. That's kind of, I don't know if this is a bit of an almost an indictment of the liberal movement here in this game by Tarn, but increase in wisdom actually means moving towards a more conservative mentality. Make of that what you will. So wisdom is definitely, it's not even something we can raise over here. It's just defaults to 1, and that's fine. I don't think I'm particularly interested in raising strength, because strength, as far as I know, is basically just for melee combat, and only certain types of melee combat. I think agility actually is involved in much of it, and certainly I think for gunplay and stuff like that. So I think we can probably ignore strength, but the rest of it is all pretty important. Decent charisma is going to be helpful to raise every attribute in this game effectively is basically what determines your cap for a skill, which is what makes it kind of important. So charisma, one of the things it's important for example, is a persuasion skill. Intelligence affects lots of different things that'll be probably fun and interesting for us to do. Agility will go a long way towards keeping us alive, and I believe it's also used for the stealth skill, which is just important to stay out of some trouble. And then heart is kind of the other side of the coin from wisdom here. Heart determines your allegiance to the liberal movement and is also what affects hit points since the health stat is gone. What I think I'd be quite happy with, and I'm not sure that we can necessarily get there, but it would be really interesting to me if we could somehow manage to get intelligence, charisma, and agility all up to 10 and heart, maybe even above that. I don't know if that's going to be viable, but I'm going to use that a little bit of the guidance to our choice, as well as picking things that sound kind of interesting. I'm tempted right away. I'm going to go for Firefox's release with a +2 intelligence because that tickles me quite a bit. So that'll pump our intelligence up to 7. As a kid, when I was bad, my parents threw away my toys. I started to hide what I cared about most, or my father beat me. I learned to take a punch earlier than most, or I was locked in my room where I studied quietly by myself alone, or I was never punished. I was good at lying, their innocent little angel, or I was grounded from electronics. I spent a lot of time drawing. Here, our choices are going to give us +2 a skill, as well as +2 an attribute. I'm a little less concerned about what skills we're getting from these choices because we can raise them, although certainly there's going to be a few that would be quite handy to have early on. Again, I'm not particularly interested in strength, so I'm going to ignore that. We've already boosted our int, so I might not be worried about C over here in this case. Disguise is a really good defensive thing, and charisma, again, we are going to be reliant on our founder recruiting quite a few people, so having a high charisma is going to be useful. I like that. I'm good at lying. They're innocent little angel. I like that a lot. Stealth and agility is also quite strong. I think I just like the story here. I was never punished. I was good at lying. They're innocent little angel. I do like that quite a bit. And there we go. We got a skill point for this, guys. In elementary school, I was mischievous and always up to something. More disguise, as well as some agility. I was unruly and often fought with other children. I was the head of the class, and I worked very hard. I was the class clown. I even had some friends. I was a daydreamer. What is, what was, what could be. Starting with some persuasion is certainly going to make our early game a little faster for recruiting. Although, no matter what, we're going to have some good recruit targets, even with basically no persuasion, that's going to be fine. And we kind of grind it up. I do want to get the charisma higher. I do want to get the agility higher, and we haven't started that yet. So I might go with I was mischievous and always up to something. When I turned 10, my parents divorced. Acrimoniously, I once tripped over the paperwork, so law and agility there. Violently, martial and strength. My studies suffered, but I continued working, computers and intelligence. This is when I began to understand that words were weapons, psychology and charisma, or I kept a journal online. When would this be? We were born, in this game we were born in 2004, was it? 2003. Maybe it was 2003. So we're 10 now, so it's 2013 or 2014. So definitely after MySpace, that's probably be a Tumblr account, wouldn't it? That's what this would have been. I do want to get some more heart. That's interesting. But agility is still really useful. I think for the story, I kind of like this. I like the idea that we had our little angsty Tumblr. Yeah. All right, let's do that. In middle school, I broke into lockers and I was into punk rock. Some security skill, which is going to be one of the things we're going to be interested in raising, but it's also not too hard to grind, but it's got that +1 agility, which is good. And we get a punk jacket. Or I was obsessed with Japanese swords and started lifting weights, martial arts, strength, katana, and wakizashi. I created my own chess engine. I had no friends. I joined the drama club, but they never had enough roles for me. I tried starting a band. I had to play all the instruments myself. I think I might be tempted to do the drama club here, bring our charisma up to a 7, and balance it out there. We've already done some computer things. I mean, obviously, everyone probably watching this YouTube video, as well as myself, ourselves in real life are into computers, so it's tempting to lean into that. On the other hand, a punk jacket. I don't think I can say no to the punk jacket. And it brings our agility up, which is going to be an important stat. All right. Things were getting really bad when I stole my first car. I got a few blocks before I totaled it. So this looks like it's just going to be skills, not stats. So security and driving. I went to live with my dad is totally how I'm parsing this. I went to live with my dad. I learned gun safety the hard way. I tried being a teacher's assistant. It just made me a target. Starting with some teaching, though, is not a bad idea because then we could teach what skills we do develop to the other people in our cult. I mean, activist group. So I ran for class president. The campaign was a disaster. I went completely goth. I had no friends and made my own clothes. Oh, what is this? Me in high school? One day I'm going to break out the yearbook photos, man. Ho ho! Tailoring, which is a way to make some money. disguise, black formal wear. We already got one piece of clothing. I mean, we could start with a couple of different things, but I think we'll go with that. I like the idea of starting with some teaching. The security, again, I think we can grind it up fairly easily. It's going to be very important, but I think we can grind it. The starting with some driving wouldn't be bad for some escapes, but maybe what I'll do is I'll do the teacher's assistant. Just made me a target. Well, I knew I had reached a crescendo when I stole a cop car when I was only 14. I went to juvie for 6 months. Driving, security, +1 street smarts. My stepmom shot her ex-husband, my dad, with a shotgun. She got off. I got caught hacking my grades, but they made it so fucking easy. What's interesting about this is I believe during the start, you can actually get enough skills to exceed your limit. So if we hadn't taken anything that really boosted our intelligence, but we did stack the pluses to computers here, I think we could, do something wacky that way. I resorted to controlling people, built my own clique of outcasts. I mean, again, with our totally not a cult, that sort of fits story-wise. I got caught making out with another girl, so God hated me for that. I kissed a girl and I liked it, but the conservatives didn't. I'm less super concerned by a lot of the options here. We could go D. I don't think we don't have any persuasion yet. This would start us off a little bit faster. I like the idea of getting some street smarts too. Yeah, let's do that. I was only 15 when I ran away and I started robbing houses, rich people only. I was fed up with their crap. I hung out with thugs and beat the shit out of people. I learned what it took to survive, when to move on, where to hide. I volunteered for a left-wing candidate. She didn't even come close. Yeah, that sounds close to reality. Keeps happening. I let people pay me for sex. I needed the money to survive. So again, sort of focusing on attributes. Heart, charisma, intelligence, agility. Maybe, do we go here for a little bit more charisma, bring it up to 7, keeping, these a little bit balanced? There's going to be, their final decision is like a big pool of stats, and I don't know what the numbers are. Just because I've looked through it, I don't remember what the options are going to be. Like, I kind of like this as, you know what, we tried to go straight, as in sort of like legal, right? We tried to work within the system. One time, we did try to work within the system, and it didn't work out. And maybe this is why we turned a little bit more radical. Radical. All right, let's do this. Giving us a little bit more charisma. And we're going to start with a decent amount of persuasion here. Life went on. On my 18th birthday, I stole a sports car. The owner must have been pissed. We actually start with a stolen sports car this way. I bought myself an assault rifle, AK-102, fully automatic. I celebrated. I'd saved $1,000. That's a lot of starting money. I started wearing a security uniform to explore major buildings downtown. Start with a security uniform and some maps. I went to a party and met a cool law student. We've been dating since. +1 seduction and a sleeper lawyer that is probably counts as a lover to start off with. I kind of want to start with a sports car. Just sounds awesome. Yeah, let's start with a car. For the last year or so, I've been A, stealing from corporations. I know they're hiding the truth. +3 agility, +1 intelligence. B, a violent gang leader. Nothing can change me or stand in my way. +3 agility and strength, +3 firearms and martial arts, and we'd start with 4 gang members already in our crew. Taking college courses. I'm starting to understand what needs to be done. +4 int, +2 to science, computers, writing, and teaching, +1 to business and law. That's a lot of skills. Writing my manifesto and refining my image. I'm ready to change the world. +3 charisma, +1 intelligence, and another 2 persuasion, +1 to law and writing, +50 juice. Juice is sort of the experience system of this game. Reaching 50 juice does not take very long. So it's not the most exciting. That's not that critical, but that's a good amount of stats, or surviving alone, just like everyone else. But we can't go on like this. It's +4 to heart, +1 intelligence, strength, agility, and charisma. So it's bonuses to everything except wisdom, of course. I mean, this does result in a lot of net stats, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 8 total bonus stat points, as opposed to 4 and 6. Although agility and strength is a semi-redundant in a sense, because some weapons use agility, some weapons use strength. And then 4 points over here with some interesting skills. And we get the gang members. I like the idea of writing the manifesto. Is fairly entertaining to me. Stealing from corporations is quite cool. Would also give us some more intelligence, which I do like. I mean, actually, A, D, and E. I'm looking at those 3. Either way, I end up with an extra point of intelligence between those, so I can kind of just ignore that part of stuff. Again, boosting the strength doesn't matter too much, but a little more agility. I think we're going surviving alone. Yeah, surviving alone just like everyone else, but we can't go on like this, which I think is a good way to sort of intro the story, right? Why, like now we're going to start to assemble our crew. We had a little bit of criminal activity in our youth. Then we tried to do it right by working for this left-wing candidate. It didn't go anywhere. We probably fell into a little bit of a depression. We really wish, we had our goth phase in high school, but maybe it's just a late goth phase is what's going on now. But now it's like, okay, no, now it's time to do something. All right, a new conservative era. The year is 2023. Following a series of violent protests from the far right, Conservative President Tony Thompson has resigned in disgrace. These names are randomized, by the way. His hardcore arch-conservative Vice President, Walter Scott, a close ally of the rioters, has been sworn in as the new President of the United States. With Conservatives having swept into power in the recent midterm elections and a Conservative majority in the Supreme Court of the United States, commentators are hailing it as the beginning of a new Conservative era. President Walter Scott has asked the new Congress to move quickly to rubber stamp his radical arch-conservative agenda. The left seems powerless to stop this imminent trampling of liberal sanity and justice. In this dark time, the liberal crime squad is born. What is your name to the people? We are going to be known as Petra, the rock upon which the revolution will be born, formed, built. Yeah, built. There we go. So this is the main user interface of the game. I know, visually so impressive, but it's actually not the hardest thing to navigate. First of all, we're going to change our slogan immediately. We're actually leftists, not liberals. No, we're going to change this to what could possibly go wrong. Maybe not the most liberal of all statements, but I still like it. We are currently occupying a homeless camp in Seattle is what we're living. We're laying low, and we started with a whole $7. We do have a sports car and a punk jacket. I can open up our character sheet over here as Petra and take a bit of a look. So yeah, Petra, we currently have a rank of civilian, and our history is high school dropout. We were born on November 9th, 2004. We're currently 18 years old. We have our heart of 13, intelligence of 8, wisdom of 1, agility of 8, strength of 6, and a charisma of 8. We have 0 juice. If we reach 10 juice, this is how we will rank up from civilian to whatever the next rank is called. We are not carrying a weapon. We're wearing a punk jacket, and we do have our stolen black sports car. We can have up to 6 recruits currently, and we can have up to 4 lovers right now, which, again, I think the way it works is it's something like, for both heart and charisma, I think it's the number, something like -4 divided by 2 rounded down for both of those. And then for seduction, which we don't have a skill, I think it might just be seduction divided by 2, or there's something like that. And then you look at all those numbers, and then whichever one of those is the highest, I think that sets your cap for the lovers. So I think that's what's going on with the hearts. But anyway, it's something vaguely like this. And I haven't actually done that part at all. I've done plenty of recruiting. I've done a variety of little activities, a little bit of a practice, but I've never gotten very deep into the game. And I'm hoping this is going to be our first go. We can see our skills are the status of our body, currently very good. Liberal, our body is in perfect shape. That's what we want to see. And these plus 30, this is the effect of the punk jacket. It gives some extra hit points to ourselves and our various body parts. We can update our name. We might end up doing that as we go. Who knows these things? Going down the panel, we can take a look at all the different skills that exist in the game. One of the things with the New Age version of Liberal Crime Squad, the name of the game, right? The New Age version is some of the skills have been condensed. There used to be a bunch of different firearm skills. They've been mashed into a single firearm skill. There used to be a bunch of weapon and melee skills. They've been mushed into martial arts. Heavy weapons, it's still its own separate category because thematically that works. Also, heavy weapons is mostly strength-based. I think the others here are going to use agility as the primary combat determiner. We have not committed any crimes, or at least I should specify, we have not yet been accused or charged with any crimes. And there we have it. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to need to get some people. on board. We've decided we don't want to be alone anymore. We're going to get ourselves a crew. If nothing else, we're going to get a crew of people that can make some money for us early on. That's going to be the most important thing. So there's a variety of ways for us to do this. If we look at these buttons over here, so our activism, we can go forth and stop evil. This will give us the ability to travel around and visit different locations. For example, we're currently at a homeless camp. We can walk around the homeless camp. We can go and visit a few other places. The old train station over here could be a potential safe house as well. We'll certainly want to do that. Auto plant, garment workers. These names get randomized, but like there's always a garment makers over here. They just get a different name. There's some sort of factory over here, and it gets a different name each time. So that's one way we can walk around, talk to people. Another way we can get stuff is we can go assign tasks, and we can choose which of our liberals to assign a task to. Again, we currently only have one person. And then there's a variety of different things. Liberal activism, so community service is a way to very slowly get up our juice. Right? If I go and select this, and then you can question mark, and you get some information on all these different tasks over here. So yeah, it can slowly, I think, increase juice up to the maximum level of 10, which is enough to get a rank of juice. Why do you care about juice? As you rank up, right? As the juice goes up and you rank up as a liberal, it does increase the amount of recruits you can have, but also all your attributes go up, which is amazing. So that's quite good. Liberal disobedience. What is the deal with this? Liberal disobedience, occasionally illegal form of liberal activism, which is a modest liberalizing effort on public opinion on a handful of issues. Aha, I see. And we can go up to 50 juice doing that way. These are ways to do these like little juice gets without actually going to sites. We can do random graffiti apparently, and we can write liberal guardian articles. So one of the changes in New Age, because it advances forward, the base liberal crime squad has your character being born in the 80s, and you're playing in the very early 2000s, I think. And so there's like newspaper sites that you can go to, like physical newspaper sites. With New Age, the newspaper has been changed to an online kind of thing. So they'd be online articles and, streaming, as you can see, like that. We can raise funds with different stuff, which does need a variety of different skills. So for example, we could try to solicit donations. What's interesting is it's apparently more lucrative when the public is very conservative. People are the people you can get funds from are willing to spend more to help out. So ways to make money. Illegal fundraising is an option as well, though we probably don't want to do that with our founder so much. Recruitment and acquisition. So this is the other way we can find some people to recruit, is we can choose recruiting. We can choose a class of people to attempt to recruit. You can see the difficulty here. This is mostly based on their base liberalism. So college students, emo, goth, hippies, and punks all are fairly liberal as a base, so they're going to be a little easier to recruit. And then as we go down the list, that becomes less so. I mean, even a liberal judge, they're still going to be hard to recruit into a liberal crime squad. So it might be a little bit of work. But this is a way to do it, especially if we're looking for a specific class of people. This guarantees us a bunch of opportunity to recruit a bunch of people of that class. We can teach ourselves a skill for free. We can just study any skill we want and gain a tiny little bit of skill towards it. We can also take classes. You can't take a class in every single skill. So things like stealth, for example, isn't something you can take a class for, but you will raise the skills quite a bit faster. On the other hand, it does cost us $30 per day, and we ain't got no money. We can also teach other people, other liberals we've recruited, but we don't have any right now. So no point in doing that. Medical things, if we had prisoners, if we had corpses, there's a few other options, and we can tweak the equipment, although right now there's nothing. Like we can remove all our stuff, walk around naked, but we're not going to do that. We're going to put a punk jacket back on. And yeah, and then we can just choose to lay low if we want, which was our default activity. So there's a bunch of different ways to do that. Let's go through the rest of this little UI over here. So again, we can choose to equip our squads from here, but nothing exciting to do. We've got a vehicle. We've got the sports car. Now you can hit the capital letter. So now I'm the driver of the sports car. Now I'm just a passenger of a sports car, in which case, who's driving? I'm assuming it must choose one, maybe at random of all the passengers. I don't know, but I'm going to explicitly put me as the driver of that. I have no idea if that makes a difference. We'll see. Review assets and squads. We have a single liberal. It's us. We have a single squad, the liberal crime squad, and we can inspect our finances here. We've got $7 in cash. And that is it. Apparently our clothing isn't even worth anything. Oh, maybe if we'd unequipped the clothing and it was just in our inventory, then it would probably count as a resource over here. So nothing really to do on this screen currently. And this is a big important one. The status of the liberal agenda. This is the status of the country. Notice at the bottom of the color coding, green is elite liberal, blue is liberal, yellow is moderate, purple is conservative, and red is arch conservative. So the president, vice president, secretary of state, and attorney general are arch conservatives. There are 2 arch conservatives on the Supreme Court as well, 4 conservatives, 2 moderates, and 2 liberals and 1 elite liberal on the Supreme Court, and the status of the House and the Senate. And then we can see the status of these laws. I think these get randomized a little bit, depending on some of the settings you put at the start of the game. These could all start as like fully arch conservative. So, for example, we're not really going to get a lot of attention talking about electoral reform, torture, free speech, and LGBT rights right now, because they're actually fairly liberal as currently, although the government is going to try to change that. Flag burning is ultra liberal right now, which is interesting. But some of the other laws are much more conservative, right? Privacy rights, pollution, corporate law, gun control, and yeah, okay, I guess that's all the law status. And then over here, we can see the public support. So 33% of people have a favorable opinion of the president, but they're going to try to really push their agenda, and that's going to shift. And we can see support for different issues. And 0% of the population have heard of a liberal crime squad, and 0% of them consider to be a force for good. Hopefully we can improve that, and we can read about specific law statuses over here. And yeah, we can just pop out. We're currently at the homeless camp in Seattle. It only has a secrecy value of 3. If we do get any heat, the police can just walk in. First of all, this is one of the first places they'll look, and there's not really anywhere to hide. So this is not really an ideal situation for us to be in. I was thinking we'd walk around to try to do our first round of recruits rather than using the assigned tasks. So let's go and do that. We're going to go forth to stop evil. And I think I'm going to go to the university district, and I'm going to walk around either the juice bar. Let's go to the vegan co-op, Asparagus Garden Vegan Co-op. We can probably find some pretty liberal people there, and we might find people with a variety of different backgrounds, and that might be interesting. So we're going to carry out our plans for the day is going to be to visit the co-op. So we have arrived. And then we can walk around. So this is the interface when you're exploring a site. The green @ symbol is us. These X squares are our exits. The double lines over here is a door, and then we can see some walls. These stats over here, this being in green means I am kind of disguised. I'm wearing the appropriate clothing for the area, and people won't necessarily suspect that I am the leader of this notorious liberal crime squad, which hasn't done anything yet. So we're going to go ahead and walk in, and as we do, we will, there you go, run into some groups of people. So here we have run into a college student, a hippie, another college student, and homeless. The color coding over here represents how difficult they would be to recruit, and it's based on how liberal they are. So this college student is clearly arch conservative. This would not work out. We've got a moderate one over here. The hippie and homeless, what a surprise. They're a little bit more liberal and or more easily swayed. I'm going to walk around a little bit more, look at what kind of options I might get. It's not a very big place. There's not much to find. Oh, now this is interesting. A liberal college student. Let's give them a talk. 17-year-old female college student. We don't know much about them on this screen over here, so we'll just strike up a conversation about politics. Do you want to hear something disturbing? Okay, that I don't know how that works as an opener necessarily, but what? We live in such a backwards country right now that people think it's a right to walk around with the power to murder at any moment. We're talking about gun control. Dear me, is there anything we can do? After more discussion, college student, we don't know their name yet. We will know their name shortly. Agrees to come by later tonight. We're gonna have a meeting. Sure, we'll talk to the hippie. So 20s male. Want to hear something disturbing? Corporate executives use giant corporations as means to become parasites that suck wealth out of this country and put it into their pockets. Haha, fiction. That is disturbing. What can I do? All right, you'll get agreed to a meeting. Excellent. Another hippie. Ooh, there we go. Okay, let's talk to another college student, 20s male. Sexism is still pervasive in subtle ways, and women make much less than they deserve for their labor. That's frightening. What can we do? Let's talk to... You know what? Well, we already got a hippie. We might, there's going to be a limit. I'm going to just stay in this type. Oh, a couple of emos with band tees. I suspect the emos don't have much in the way of traits, but let's see. I think this is their hit points. So higher hit points should represent people with higher heart, which is definitely a stat we're interested in. So I'll talk to the emo 20s male. The tax code has been designed to perpetuate an unjust class structure that is keeping you oppressed. Locks. Locks? I don't think we can allow that. Now, we have currently 4 meetings scheduled. I think we can have up to 6. After that, there's a chance we start to lose track of people. We might miss out on some meetings, which would be annoying if we ran into some better people. Oh, goth in a black suit with a cross. I mean, I love a goth. The flag represents colonialism and oppression. We should burn it. Dude, that's like totally bumming me. All right, agree to a meeting. That's 5. High school dropouts. A punk with a knife. Let's talk to a punk. Protests and demonstrations are regularly and often brutally suppressed in this country. People have to watch what they write, even what they read. Oh, really? Yeah, really. More discussion. Punk agrees to come by later tonight. Okay, so that brings us up to 6, which I think is our limit on like safe stuff, which isn't the same as the recruits. But I think above 6 is when you start to get a chance to lose out on some of the meetings. So let's pop out. Now, it's the end of the day. We're going to do all of our meetings. Now we get some information. So this is our punk over here that we met at the Asparagus Garden Vegan Co-op. So Stanley De Silva, we can take a look at their stats. That's not bad. 10 heart, 10 charisma. Now, I don't have a really good sort of internalization of, at a glance, of what are good stats for a person. But I'm going to say that 5 and below is pretty bleh stats. And 8 and above, I'm going to say, is very good. And of course, it's going to depend a little bit of what they've got. Say the 4 wisdom, they've drunk a little bit of the conservative Kool-Aid over here. But they've got a lot of liberal heart, good charisma as well. They might be in a good place to go and recruit further people. And agility of 8 is pretty good combat-wise. Low intelligence, which is going to limit certain skills, and no strength, but I don't really care about that. I think we can chat you up. I think, yeah, here with the intelligence of 1, these blue skills, these are ones that are at their cap. So psychology and tailoring are both based on intelligence, and those are capped out. Dodge driving, so you don't have anything that's going to be useful for money making, but maybe we'll just get you to sell some brownies. So let's have a little chat with you, discuss some politics, explain our views on electoral reform. Stanley De Silva found Petra's views to be insightful. They'll keep meeting again tomorrow. Great stuff. This is Veronica Simon, the goth, with 10 heart, 10 int. Nothing else really interesting, although you do start with a teaching skill and a little bit of tailoring, which might be int-based as well. I think, were we just seeing that? You could, but right now we can't be too picky, so I'm going to chat with you. Garrett Geffart, the emo, 8 heart, 10 charisma, 9 intelligence. Not really much in the way of agility, so we're not going to want you as part of an active combat squad. You've also got some street smarts, which would help with certain things, like maybe selling some brownies. Anyway, we'll keep chatting with you. Reginald Rose, the college student. 7 hearts a little lower, so again, that influences hit points, a few, maybe some skills sort of directly or indirectly, but also I think influences their willingness to flip on us, especially maybe also paired up with wisdom. So this person might not be all that reliable. They do have a lot of strength. A bunch of science start off with high int. Again, I wonder if they may be not worth keeping. If they had higher agility, we might consider them a bruiser, especially with the strength, but they don't really. I might let you go, actually. Yeah, I'm going to break off the meeting with you. Some people, crap stats might be fine. While you have huge heart, ignoring everything else, you'd never flip on us. We can just try to use you to like sell some pot brownies or something like that until at some point you get caught, and then, but that's fine. Okay. Chat with you. Okay. And then Marion Keaton, the college student, good heart, decent charisma, not really anything else going on, but we'll chat with you as well. Okay, so now it's January the 2nd, and you can see our persuasion skills gone up. By chatting all these people up, we're raising our persuasion. Our persuasion cap should be 8, which we should see over here. Yeah, maximum of 8, because again, we're limiting by the charisma, but once we get some juice going, those stats will also go up, which will raise our cap, which is going to be very useful. So we haven't recruited anyone yet, but we've started to spread the message and people are listening. That is very exciting. We're going to go and put a halt in here. Next episode, a lot more should happen because we're not going through character creation and all those things. If you are new to the channel, of course, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. You can even be cheeky and hit that little bell. In general, dropping a like and a comment is so useful for the YouTube algorithm. It makes a big difference. Appreciate you very much. We're going to see you next time with another episode. And yeah, hopefully we'll start to build up a squad. Hopefully we'll start to make a few bucks. We'll see how it goes. See you next time. Bye-bye.